What if you knew the apocalypse was coming, but you didn't know what was going to cause it?
Well, two redheads do. They've both spent years creating story worlds that thousands have enjoyed, and now they're turning their attention on to the future.
Why did they do this? What's coming next for Future Now, and can anyone get them to shut up in a meeting?
Future Now presents The Boys, aka what the heck is this Future Now thing anyway?
Hi, I'm Scott Nihill, Director of Future Now.
And I'm Connor McCreery, writer of Future Now.
And we're here to explain what the Future Now channel is all about and what you can expect from us, including what is the key threat that humanity is facing in the year 2084. Want to give you a taste of some of the stories that we have in the works, introduce you to the team, and explain how you can shape the world of Future Now.
It's the year 2084, and 5 factions battle for control over the future. The series is centered around a confluence of destructive events known as the Unraveling. Through each episode, we'll explore a person, place, or thing that is most impacting the state of the universe, while exploring whose vision of the future will come to fruition, and give viewers like you the opportunity to determine humanity's fate. But first, I thought I'd share how Future Now came to be.
The idea for the Future Now web series came 3 years ago when I was helping to develop the What If web series, where each video of What If asks hypothetical questions like, what if you fell into a black hole, or what if the largest asteroid hit Earth? And it occurred to me at the time that the basis of every science fiction story is a what if question. You know, what if an asteroid split the moon in a million pieces? Or what if the machines take over? Or what if we're living in a simulation? And I'd been developing sci-fi comics, films, and games. Through this effort had built out a pretty expansive world. And I wondered if the What If audience would be interested in a sci-fi storytelling series exploring the what if questions they loved. So I pitched it to the team, the idea for the Future Now series, and it was greenlit for development.
So when Scott came to me, I was really intrigued. So I'm a comic book creator by trade. I've done some things called Kill Shakespeare. I have the Assassin's Creed brand, a regular show, and Adventure Time. And so I love like a really big, expansive world. So this was really my wheelhouse. And for me, like the 3 pillars of sci-fi are looking at the state of the Earth, what's going to happen off Earth, how are we going to interact with technology, right? I feel like all good sci-fi deals with one of those ideas, and often several of them interconnectedly. That's kind of how we looked at breaking up our world. We're going to take you through where the Earth is in 2084. We're going to look into the expansion off Earth, places like the moon, the asteroid belt, and the plans to go even further. And also looking at this realm of human imagination found in what we call the verse, the world that exists solely in technology or in our mind's eye. And in this future, we imagined kind of 5 key factions that are battling to determine humanity's destiny, each with their own distinct and competing vision for the future. So you've got people like the Traditionalists. They generally believe that the world is moving too fast, that we need to rely upon what we know and what came before. They believe in faith and family, but also power and control. Now, the Transhumanists, they say they want to see us fulfill our true destiny. They believe in evolution and us embracing change and what's coming next, but they can be arrogant and impatient with those of us who are a little scared of the changes they think need to happen. Now, the off-worlders, they want to go see the stars. To them, anywhere can be our home, so why not escape this rock and discover the universe? They don't believe in limits, but they can be cynical and selfish. I mean, who's to say all of us can afford to get off Earth? And that contrasts pretty directly with the Paradisians. They feel we can save the Earth. It's just a matter of us choosing to do so. They look at everything through the lenses of beauty and hope, but they can become naive and they can become disillusioned if their causes flounder. And finally, there are the Ecclesians. Of all our factions, most of those would be kind of loose. You know, you wouldn't be part of a traditionalist club necessarily, but you would have traditionalist beliefs. But the Ecclesians, they're a flat-out secret society. If you're a member of the Ecclesians, you know it and nobody else does. They're some of the best and brightest that mankind has to offer, and their goal is to keep humanity from ever coming so close to extinction again. They believe they can guide humanity with their wisdom, but they embrace secrecy, and at their worst, they can see themselves as superior to the rest of us. So, looming above all of this is an event known as the Unraveling. which, depending on what happens, might mean there is no future left for these 5 factions to fight over. The Ecclesia, who we were just talking about, they have this prediction engine that is, with increasing accuracy, able to predict the future. But there's this kind of like shadow in the predictions. It's this place where no matter how much they try to refine the technology, they can't really see past. All they seem to know is that whatever happens during the unraveling, it's going to have a massive change on society, and it seems like a lot of people are going to die. The unraveling seems to be getting closer. So, like a decade ago, when the Ecclesians were first developing this prediction engine, the unraveling seemed to be more than a century away. But lately, it seems like it's going to happen in less than 3 years. So each one of our Future Now episodes are going to explore a person, a place, or a thing that is possibly contributing to this unraveling. So for example, the Mars colony that is being threatened by a development proposal that requires nuking the planet, or the space Vikings who are working to dismantle the global security system known as the Mirror, or a proxy war raging in Nigeria over a space elevator that might trigger a new world war. This unraveling is something that's going to affect everybody in the solar system. But it's only the Ecclesia who know it's coming, at least for now. That knowledge about this unraveling, it's going to put a huge stress on the Ecclesia. It's going to trigger a battle amongst factions within it. So how much control and secrecy should we keep? If we continue to hide in the shadows and pull the strings, is that what's going to cause the unraveling? Maybe we should reveal ourselves, or maybe we should take even more control. And there's also the question of, is the unraveling even a bad thing? Remember, all the Ecclesia know is that it's just this kind of strange spot that they can't see past. So maybe it's possible, whatever it is, maybe it needs to happen to keep all these people from dying. What the Ecclesia do know is that the prediction engine have identified certain people who seem to be important to the unraveling. In our story, they're going to be split up between keys, those who have an important role to play in bringing or stopping the unraveling, and keepers, those who are going to aid and support the keys in their missions, whether those missions are good or evil.
In many ways, for me, the unraveling really represents all of our fears today, but puts it in this fantastical, imagined future. One of my motivations for the series comes from this feeling that today there's this abundance of problems all overlapping one another. And all of this instability and chaos can create a self-fulfilling prophecy of doom, like a feedback loop where instability creates more problems. It all feels and is very scary. With Future Now, we're exploring all of these themes that we're struggling with today, but from a different vantage point. 50 years in the future when there is even more potential for destruction. It's the future that we might expect if we don't change or we don't adapt to or we don't fix a lot of the problems that are affecting society right now. My feeling is that if we create this tangible, imagined, dystopic future where our problems are magnified in the form of this unraveling event, maybe that will make the future today feel less scary. Because we can, by seeing these problems displayed on a screen, we can better internalize them. While the problems we present are massive and at times hopeless feeling, our story is very much about the people trying to solve these problems.
So remember we talked about the nuking of Mars? Well, there's going to be a sheriff on Mars who's going to get pulled into that mystery and is going to have to see if they can actually stop this basic genocide. There's the Princess of Venus, who's coming to Earth for an arranged marriage, only to find herself in the middle of a massive corporate battle. And then there's the Vert miner, who believes she's living a life of freedom and adventure, only to accidentally discover that her and her entire crew are prisoners. And so the unraveling, which seems really dystopian, that's actually just kind of gives us this organizing principle and a central mystery to hang our hats, while also allowing us to eventually pull all our main characters into each other's orbits. It's the huge problem that it's going to make some people become even more selfish, but also allow others to set aside their differences and unite. So, like Scott said, it's utopian and dystopian, because the world is. And now, how is it going to end? Well, we're going to need some of your help for that.
We wanted to create a series that's about the challenges we face as a species now, but also in the future. And these problems will require the contribution from every single human being on and off the Earth. For this reason, we wanted to build the series from the ground up to maximize how the audience can shape and control the trajectory the series takes. That way, you, along with the entire Future Now community, could help humanity of the future overcoming the threats they face, and in particular, this Unraveling event.
So something we're excited about that we're going to need your help with are the dossiers. Each one is going to talk about one of these people that the prediction system has flagged as important. The dossier is going to get you to play a role as a member of the Ecclesia. You're going to get this information, hear what's happening with this person, and at the end of each of those videos, there's going to be a poll. Every choice you make gets fed back to us, and that lets us decide how to shape the story. And, well, how do we know what sort of member of the Ecclesia you are? Someone who's working for society or only for your own interests? You get to decide that as well. Some other things we're going to do is we're going to have a faction poll. It's going to be a great entry point for you to figure out what faction you'd be in the Future Now universe. You're also going to get a chance to receive one of 25 sub-faction personas. Think of them as like classes in like D&D, so that way you can build your own characters based on the Future Now universe. And we've got some ideas for some games that will let you use those characters. But we'll save more on that for a future update. Thanks so much for listening to Scott and I, and for getting a bit more of an insight into what's going on in Future Now. Please subscribe to the Future Now videos on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the new updates. And finally, we wanted to show you the team of creatives that we're working with. So up next, in incredible detail, are going to be the writers, artists, designers, and editors who are passionate about sci-fi and storytelling, and who one day you could join.